Hey, welcome friends, here we are. It is today the 26th of October 2022 here in New Zealand, 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. Chat with Matt. Scheduled time here, present and accounted for, and not even very late, really. So that's a turn up. New moon tonight in about 15 hours, a little bit less. New moon, I think, is at 12:45 my time, and the solar eclipse reaches its maximum shortly after, a few minutes after that, I think 10 minutes after that. Solar eclipse happening tonight, or today, or this morning, or depending on where you are in the world, but it'll be about midnight for me tonight. We're going to do a call at starting at 10 p.m. my time, which is middle of the friggin' night for the Americas, 4 a.m. in Central Time, and it'll be 10 a.m. in the UK. And yet again, I managed to make a mistake sending out the email last night and assumed, as always, that America and the UK was a day behind me, so put down the 25th instead of the 26th, but it's all happening on the 26th of this new moon solar eclipse, because it's happening at a few minutes to midnight my time. So everyone, whether it be early in the morning in Pacific time or later in the night for us here in New Zealand and Australia, it's happening on the 26th. So that's exciting. We're going to continue working with the topic of health. There's some awesome aspect that everyone's talking about in the astrology world. I did read a little bit about Venus has a very positive and powerful influence on this new moon. New moons are new beginnings, so there's a lot of talk around, love, relationships, and all that stuff. Which is interesting, because I've been really picking up lately because I've been working this month with health, the importance of love as the remedy or the pathway towards optimal health and happiness, right? So self-love particularly. I've also talked a lot about connection and its role in helping optimal health emerge from within you. So yeah, we're going to continue working with that. We did it last on the full moon 2 weeks ago, and I've been working with it all month. It's an interesting topic, sort of getting out of this idea of health just being the absence of disease and trying to fix our issues and our problems and our disabilities, etc., discomforts, and really aligning with the vibration of what it is to be healthy, to have a healthy attitude and a healthy appreciation, right? Another good word, right? Gratitude is basically health. When we're in gratitude, we are healthy, and we can't just force our way into gratitude and think that will fix our health problems, though, right? We can't just start saying thank you all the time in some sort of lip service platitude type way to make our illness go away, right? We have to actually appreciate the fact that the symptomology of what you call illness is actually your healing journey, and not to think that health is on the other side of fixing whatever issue you currently are experiencing or having, discomforts that are arising. So yeah, awesome topic. I'm very jazzed about this topic of health, which is interesting because it's one of the topics that I've kind of avoided. Because I've avoided this is why, because I've avoided, and I'm only just realizing this right now, because I've always avoided the title of healer. So therefore I've avoided the topic of health, because they're both the same, right? Healing and health, right? Yeah, because I don't want to be someone who just takes away people's problems. I much prefer to brand myself or market myself as someone who facilitates transformation in empowered ways, right? I help people who want to empower themselves, people who want to become more personally powerful, more personally accountable, more purposeful on the planet, achieve that, right? That's what I genuinely and generally like to do, right? As opposed to come along and help people get over their sore left knee or their whatever other health issue they might have or perceive, or even their relationship problems, right? Healing a broken heart, right? It's for me, it's disempowering, and it's not what I do. It's not what excites me. It doesn't seem purposeful enough, because ultimately every challenge that comes into your life, whether it's a health challenge or a relationship challenge or a financial challenge, is part of your journey of empowerment. And for someone to come in and quote unquote fix it is basically taking away your opportunity to grow. So we don't do the fixing thing. We do the supporting thing, we do the inspiring thing, and we do the empowerment thing, but we don't do the fixing thing. So for me, the title of healer has been so enmeshed in this connotation that someone just holds their hands over you and your your left kidney is fixed. As an example, right? I've got nothing against kidneys or people who have kidney issues. I understand, right? If your kidneys have failed, then or in the process of failing or diminished, then you definitely need, a process to overcome that. And that might include surgery, and it might include transplant, and it might include lots of things. But none of that stuff will work if the fundamental journey doesn't take place as well. And it's very unlikely to happen just in sort of quote unquote energetic healing, which is seen as some sort of, magic cure all. Anywho, friends, not that it doesn't have a place, right? And I do that. I do hold space for, tissues of the body to undergo the regeneration process, because that is part of it, right? After we help realign attitudes and concepts in the world, right? And help to lubricate this process of letting go of different traumas and pain points and judgments, etc., that have been held over from the past, then there's room to help the tissues of the body expedite their regeneration process, as they now no longer need to manifest or need to express the discordance that was once entrenched in the energetic system, right? As the energetic system becomes more aligned, then the body will follow suit, and we can definitely help that along. And that's basically what healers do. They help the body expedite the process of coming into alignment with current mentality, current attitude to life. Anywho's. So yes, I've avoided the topic of health, and I generally have avoided talking about, fixing different health ailments as part of that. But I have really enjoyed this last month and talking about health as a general topic, because it's allowed me to express all of this stuff, and it's been very healing for me, quote unquote. It's been very healing for me, which really is what this is all about. Don't hide behind the fact that I do these live streams because it's very healing for me. I do these live streams because it's part of my journey. It's challenging for me, and it's therapy for me, and it's awesome. I'm just trying to get to my Facebook page to see if anyone wrote any questions, and I just saw a post from 3 years ago. Obviously I was in Bali on October 26th in 2019 because that was my breakfast. I don't do many breakfast posts, but obviously I was particularly enjoying the food in Bali is pretty good. Now, it's not local food, it's it's obviously it's Western tropical food, but there's a lot of good food in Bali, and it's cheap-ish. It's not cheap by Balinese standards, but it's cheap by our standards. I'm still getting there. Bright Light Beings group. There I am on live, so that's handy. That's interesting. So I'm seeing comments here, but not here. Why is that? Swipe left to reveal comments. Why does Facebook do that sometimes? Oh, here we go. Okay, great. Okay, so it's finally my phone's starting to show me. Hi, Matt. Just put a comment on the Facebook page because I hadn't seen the time. Could I cut and paste it to here if you want? Oh, no, I'm going there, Jill. Don't panic. Here we go. So I'll just quickly talk about what I'd put on my little poster, which was from even longer. This was like 2014. Look at me. I'm looking young and handsome. What if, there I am sitting under Pahutakawa tree, that is Christmas time in the Coromandel in New Zealand on beautiful white sandy beaches. What if achieving happiness was more a function of what you have released rather than what you have acquired, right? What if achieving happiness was more about letting go of stuff rather than acquiring what we think we are lacking? Of course, it's all about the perception of what we are lacking, and the perception of what letting go is. Perception of what we currently have, right? It's all delusional. You know, a lot of this trauma and you know, entanglement is basically held there in an illusion. Fundamentally, we are free and sovereign. We just get tricked, if you like, or it's not really a trick. But anyway, doesn't matter. So yes, Jill wrote in. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger for my dyslexic brain and the glare on my screen. I woke this morning in the midst of a dream nightmare where I was living in a dystopian nightmare world, and I was told it was expected of me to self-euthanize myself. I was to get in my car, and then both me and my car would be set aflame. I woke up as a nurse was taking my running shoes trainers off my feet to be handed to someone else who needed them. Bizarre and very scary. I'm not sure what, if any, message this is sending me. Any ideas? For me, Jill, a lot of those dreams are basically just the subconscious mind releasing its crap. Releasing the various levels of fear and trauma that we're carrying from the past. We're doing a lot of processing in the night. It is new moon in 15 hours. So new moons and new beginnings. The lead up to new moons are old endings. So there's a lot of quote unquote death energy at this time of the month. There's a lot of things being wound up and ended. There's a lot of processing around endings, and so yeah, it all sort of fits in. We have a lot of fears around this dystopian world that potentially could emerge at this time, right? There's a potential many of us are seeing, and a lot of it is being projected in quote-unquote alternative media sources, right? Just how bad the world is, the New World Order and World Economic Forum and Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 and all of these different agendas, right? All of these different conspiracies to basically, rob us of the ability to be sovereign beings here on planet Earth, even though nothing can take away our true sovereignty as a soul and as an energetic being. This is what people keep forgetting, that ultimately, always, our external world will be a mirror of our internal world. And while they can, these dark beings can keep projecting potentials at us to basically get us to buy into the fear, because once we start fearing something, we will create it. So this is the thing. A lot of these, there's a lot of planned opposition at the moment, or controlled opposition. So a lot of people posing as, whistleblowers and truth seekers are putting out all of this information to get people scared and to get people buying into the idea that this is where we're going. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't agendas to get us there, but a lot of the signaling that this is a potential and we need to fight this, otherwise it's going to happen, is part of the process of achieving that for them, right? Because once we start believing that other powerful beings are trying to control us and we start fighting against them, then they're basically controlling us. If we knew nothing about them, If we knew nothing about them and were going about merrily living our lives, we would not be under their control. Yeah, I know. They're still advertising. They're still doing a whole heap of subliminal stuff. But ultimately, if we're aligned with freedom, then we're going to be free. If we're aligned with and fighting against being controlled, then we're being controlled. So, Jill said, I challenge you, Jill, if you've got those white trainers, to put them on right after this call and go out and sit in your car and recognize that your car is not going to auto ignite. It's not going to burst into flames. And don't let any nurse take them off you. The point is the subconscious mind does, it's not always premonition. It's usually not premonition. A lot of the stuff that goes through my subconscious mind, thank God, is not a premonition of what's coming in the future. A lot of it is absolutely crazy, and a lot of it is quite disturbing and disturbed because, believe it or not, I've been subjected to a lot of disturbing images over my many, many lifetimes, and some of them are still stored in various layers of my subconscious, and they're coming out. Very rapidly, which is awesome. So this is an awesome process of purification. Just like when you're fasting and you feel like crap, it's not who you are at that time. It's not that you're going backwards. It's not that you're kind of getting sick. You're fasting. You're actually in a purification process. You're actually getting healthy. So, it's important when we're cleaning up ourselves, that we don't get contracted around what we are releasing and think that something's gone wrong and then get all scared, right? We know that when we're fasting, we're going to feel like crap because there's a whole heap of toxins in our blood because it's coming out of our tissues. Now, we're basically going through a huge subconscious and unconscious purge right now. We're basically going through the same process as if we're fasting. So it's all coming out. So don't get overly attached to or concerned by what's coming up in your dreams, what's coming up in your meditation. My meditations have been so uncomfortably weird, but it's okay, right? If it's presenting itself, it's presenting itself to be processed and released. Now, processed doesn't necessarily mean me intellectually understanding it, because that would be me attaching to it. That would be me entrenching in it or aligning with it or holding it in place, right? If I need to understand something before I can let it go, I'm not going to let much go because I don't have the capacity to understand a lot of this stuff that was created in times I don't remember. So we have to get beyond, and I think I put the poster on, I don't know if it was on Chat with Matt last week or if it was on Drops of Light, but it was around the idea that the need to understand is holding us back, right? We can progress much more quickly when we let go of needing to understand things, right? Because if we need to understand things before we feel satisfied that we can let them go and we can be happy with them and we can be satisfied, then we're just going to hold all of these things in place until we understand them. And we're likely never to understand them. So we're basically entrapping ourselves with these energies based on this idea that our poor little pea brain is supposed to understand this crap. And of course it never will. So you don't need to understand. Let it go, right? I'm going to scroll up and read that up here. Okay, Jill said, will do. Was taking it as a sign of the end of a process of my house saga. Both chains above me and below me have collapsed and I've got to start again. Will do so tomorrow with moon energies in Taurus, I believe. Awesome. So yeah, clean beginnings. It's a very, very powerful time for new beginnings. It's a very powerful time. As I was saying, Venus has got an awesome aspect of love and relationship, so it's time to really operate from that space. And Jupiter's got a uncomfortable aspect, and that's got to do with doubts basically and trying to control stuff. So this is your opportunity to let go of your doubts and to stop pushing against what's not working and to align with the flow of love and move forward in an empowered way, in a trusting way, in an expansive way towards seeing yourself in your best outcome, right? Allowing yourself to align with the outcome that you desire, and really loving yourself into that without getting contracted in pushing and, you know, trying to fix and control. Yeah, and you can let go of all of the dystopian shit of euthanasia and cars bursting into flames. I think that would be sensible to let go of that. Just remember that what you're feeling and what you're experiencing is what you're releasing. That's my go-to. That's my go-to. What other news do we have? Full moon, new moon coming up in a little while. I'm progressing nicely with, I'm just trying to turn my camera around. There we go. It's going to look straight at the curtains, which we can pull aside. And look what I've got growing in my backyard. I've got a building growing out there. The roof trusses I made yesterday, and they're ready to go on today. And we will progress. We are progressing on finally getting my sleep out / office built out there, so that I have a sanctuary and a place to work, a place to work and a place to retreat to, so that I'm not sitting in my bedroom doing these calls. Mary said, I have something to chat with you about. Well, go on, Mary. Is this a private chat that you want to do at some time in private, or is this something that you want to bring onto this conversation? Because I'm very happy for you to bring it into this conversation. I've still got 10 minutes, easy. How fast can your little fingers type? I've finished my lemon tea, so I'm ready to giddy up. Jill said, my gut has been doing a massive clean out too of some nasty hard stuff. Sorry if that's too much info. I'm hoping I might have dislodged some of the stones, pearls from the gallbladder back, went into collapse mode during this, improving now. Yeah, awesome, Jill. So it's a matter of holding space for that, right? And yeah, it's common for our back to then represent the, you know, lack of support that we are feeling, which has basically been our past, right? All of us have not been well supported by this society over the last several thousand years. And so a lot of that is coming up at the moment. Back stuff, shoulder stuff, neck stuff. A lot of pains in the neck that I've been releasing lately. And digestive stuff, right? We haven't digested this world very well, and a lot of stuff we have been trained as quote unquote healers, you know, going back to this topic of healers, to basically absorb shit from our surroundings and to process it through our own body, which has usually ended up in illness and disability for us as said healers, right? It's been almost expected that healers are going to be unwell and carrying a lot of trauma in their body because they're sucking it up from people around them. That has been trained into us as an expected rightness, which has been a very disempowering way to keep us, you know, not affecting any much change in society, right? Which is what said rulers have not really wanted us to do, of course, to change society. They've wanted us to stay in the background and just keep treating people's symptoms, keep treating people's pain and trauma, and not actually affect any empowerment, not actually affect any real change in the world, and not, you know, shine our light out nearly so brightly because we're busy. We're spending our time like a sponge rather than being a beacon, and that has to change, and that is changing, and many of us are now igniting ourselves as beacons and ceasing holding as much stronger boundaries around being a sponge, right? But part of that process of, you can't just stop being a sponge without actually wringing the sponge out, and so and when you wring the sponge out, all of the dirty water and all of the crap that you've soaked up has to come out. There's no, and it gets all over your hands, right? There's no easy way to clean a sponge. It has to be wrung out, and all of the dirty water has to go somewhere, and you know, it's a process, and that's basically what's happening right now. All of the shit that we've sponged up is coming out in various ways, in our dreams, in our toilets, in our biology, right? It's coming out, and we have to be okay about that, because if we keep freaking out every time something arises, whether it's a pain in our right knee, or whether it's a funny rash, you know, on our ankle, or whether it's you know, crazy dreams, or sensations of anxiety or depression, etc., etc., right? Backache, or back instability, fatigue, massive amounts of fatigue as our bodies process all of this stuff that's been secreted deeply within, having to come out into, you know, more surface level tissue and bloodstreams, etc. It's requiring a lot of energy from our bodies, and we feel very, very tired doing this work. And it's a very tired time right now. If you're feeling tired, it's Amavasya, it's the dark moon day. It's you know, it's a day of rest and contemplation and meditation. This is a beautiful day to do meditation. I'm going to be meditating while I put my roof on. No time for meditation, no time for rest. Just remember that Buddhist saying, you know, everyone should spend at least 20 minutes of a day meditating. Everyone should spend 20 minutes a day meditating, except for people who don't think they have enough time. People who think they don't have enough time to meditate should spend 40 minutes a day meditating, because obviously you need to get your priorities straight, and meditation's a great way to do that. Get the dregs out of my cup. Come on, Mary, type faster. Oh, here we go. Hang on. What's been going on here? Thanks, Susie. Susie says, looking great. Dealing with a bit at the moment. Can't find the words. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read it down here, Mary. You had typed it in, but of course my screen wasn't updating because it just wasn't. Okay, I started a cleanse on my birthday, and I told my friend Barb that I was going to do it, and I am finished with it. But ever since I did this cleanse, Barb has been very different to me, almost like she may be jealous or upset because I did not invite her to do it. I find it hard to talk to her anymore, as she keeps asking me how my diet is going, and then gets defensive when I tell her. I did the cleanse not for any other reason except for cleaning myself. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, Mary, to be completely honest. Firstly, I'd invite you to allow the cleanse to sort of just ripple through, allow yourself to imagine this cleansing energy that you've been doing physically for yourself to just ripple through that relationship, because it seems like you've brought to the surface some past issue, right? Some potentially past life issue. This is the amazing thing. You do a physical cleanse and it works on the deeper energetic levels, just like when we do an energetic process, it works on the physical. It goes both directions. So as you've let go of some toxins out of your physical body, you've obviously, it seems that you potentially have let go of some sort of contraction that was part of your relationship with Barb. So the point is basically to let go of thinking it should. Yeah, she keeps comparing herself to me. Basically, I'd encourage you to cleanse the past in relationship to Barb. So it's not cleansing her, it's cleansing the energy between you, the relationship energy between you, because there's obviously something that's come up that's based in past energies, right? That's now expressing itself in the now, right? And this is basically what's happening with all of us. So many of us are having these past influences coming up now, and they seem like it's about a real issue right now, but it also seems crazy. Like there's like the idea that she's jealous about you doing a fast is kind of crazy, because that's not the real issue. The issue is the jealousy that's been suppressed for so long from something that happened, much bigger thing that happened in some other time. And it's just coming out now, basically because you've done the cleanse, you've cleansed part of your side of this equation, and now her side of the equation has nothing to hang on anymore. So this energy is discordant. So yeah, so the relationship has been codependent, and you've been wanting to change it, and so it's changing. But the difficulty is you don't get to change her side of it. All you do is hold space for that. And your job is not to be contracted or upset, but actually see, not to get into the worry that the relationship is collapsing or you're going to lose something important to you or anything like that, right? You have to. It's going to serve you to stay confident in who you are and in your vision of your future and potentially your future relationship with her, right? How you would like to see the relationship. You don't get to control it, right? But you do get to hold your vision of it. And in holding your vision of it and being confident in your vision of it and not trying to fix her or change her or, send her compassion, of course, and hold, basically, I don't know if you, when was I talking about that? I think that was on Drops of Light. I was talking about, bringing people into your own heart to hold space for them, particularly our children and stuff. But we can definitely do it with stronger friendships that are important to us, is basically just bring her into your heart and hold a compassionate, loving space for her so that she can heal and release whatever it is on her side of the equation that's stimulating this jealousy or this codependence or this entanglement. You don't get to control it, and it's pointless for you trying to measure it or wanting to see improvement in her. You have to let go of that and just give her space to go through her side of the experience. But that doesn't mean that you can't, and it's not powerful for you to hold empowered intention around supporting and inspiring her to achieve that, right? Energetically inspiring her to achieve that by being your best self, irrespective of her entanglement and her psychology around this experience and her wanting to compare and her potentially trying to put you down in order to lift her up, and all of the things that little wounded egos do when they're going through such processes. Mary wrote, this cleanse also worked with the mental, emotional, and spiritual as well. Of course, every action that we take can't help but to work on all levels, right? We are not disintegrated beings, we are integrated beings. So when we do something in the physical, when we change our diet, we're of course going to affect our energetics. We're going to of course check our mental and emotional and spiritual aspects of self as well. Everything is interrelated. We can't separate it, right? When we work on our emotional level, we're going to change our bodies. When we work on our bodies, we're going to change our emotional. It's always going to happen that way, and that's how it should happen. Our issue as humans is we've been trained to disassociate and disintegrate, right? We see everything as separate. This is what I was talking about, I think, the week before in the meditations and stuff we did around health. Is one of the fundamental foundations to health is connection, right? And disconnection is a fundamental step towards ill health, right? So society has gone to great lengths to disconnect us from each other, disconnect us from ourselves, disconnect us from the physical, from the mental, from the emotional, from the spiritual, right? We've been trained, we've been programmed to see things as separate, which is ridiculous. Nothing in this universe is separate. The same energy is running through everything. You know, this cup is made primarily from the same stuff that I am made from. It's made from the same stuff that my thoughts are, right? It is just energy. It is all just energy. But we, you know, of course, are in the delusion of seeing things, you know, as separate entities. We see people as different from us, and of course they are, quote unquote, they have their own individual differences, but fundamentally everything is one and the same. And when we can understand that because everything is fundamentally one and the same, what we do to one aspect of the cosmos will have an influence on everything. When the butterfly flaps its wings in the Amazon, then the avalanche happens in the Himalayas, or whatever that analogy is, right? I know there's an analogy about this idea, right? Everything is interconnected, and everything is working in this symbiotic web of life. So it's really healthy for us to remember that, not to get, you know, contracted around it all and worrying about everything we do because it has an influence on everything else. Just relax and allow yourself, but it's to live your life in an expansive way, but don't. But just be mindful that when you get into this, you know, separation mentality, that, you know, it's not healthy ultimately if we overly try and think of things as separate, you know. Anywho's, friends, that's Chat with Matt for this week. Happy new moon with an eclipse. The eclipse is a partial eclipse, and it's basically seen over Kazakhstan. So if you've got time to go there and get there in the next sort of 14 hours, you can see pretty much like 4/5 of the sun will be covered by the moon. Or central Russia. Central Russia and Kazakhstan get to see the eclipse as fully as anywhere else will see it. It's not a full eclipse, it's only a partial one. But for the rest of us, it will be happening irrespective of whether we can see it or not. Much of Eastern Europe and even over towards the UK will see something at that time. It'll be, I believe, 10 a.m. in UK, 11 a.m. in sort of France, Germany, midday in sort of Finland and that time zone, and I'm not sure what Kazakhstan's time zone is, but anyway. Mary said, since I've finished the cleanse, I'm seeing how I need to not be so strict with what to do next. Yeah, awesome. That's awesome, right? It's awesome to cleanse out some strictness and at the same time allow yourself to be lovingly aware of what you're eating, right? To be guided into, you know, good dietary choices from a space of love rather than the strictness, which is coming from basically, you know, more of a fear basis that, you know, if I eat that, it's bad and it's wrong and it doesn't support my health, right? Allowing ourselves to be health focused rather than sickness focused, right? Aligning with health rather than trying to avoid illness is always a much healthier option, but not easy to achieve because we've all been trained into problem-centric thinking. This world has done a great job in entrenching this idea that we are to avoid problems. Hey, Sister Emily Rose, you're getting ready for your call. Emily Rose is doing a interview either today or tomorrow. I can't remember when, but soon. Oh my God, says Em. Yeah, it's an exciting time coming up to doing interviews with packages and stuff, as I remember well from my time doing that. Carry on. So definitely holding space for Em. Anyway, friends, I will 2 weeks launch for the series today. Oh, right. Why did I think you had a call? That's a different call that's coming up today or tomorrow, is it? I don't know. I get easily confused. Susie is right. You will be great, Em. Just be yourself. Anyway, friends, I will push on now. Remember, I will be back in 14 hours or less. I'll be back in 12 and a quarter hours because I'm doing this in the lead up to the new moon exact. I'm doing it just as the eclipse starts, basically for my own comfort, because working at midnight is not great for me. It takes me a little while to no, you made that up. I'm good at making things up. I'm very easily confused as well, especially with times and dates at the moment, which is what's just happened now. Yeah, I'm doing it beforehand a couple of hours, so I'm starting at 10 p.m. my time, because yeah, I didn't particularly want to work at midnight and then not sleep for a couple of hours after. So that's just what we're doing. Much love. I'll speak to you then. Bye for now. Namaste.